Man, take this thing off, man. Oh, oh, I thought my mic wasn't working. What an intro. Where do I put these now? Shout out Steve Lacy. Yeah, I got that gem in that. Whoa, whoa. Got that oh yeah vinyl. You feel me? All right. So I'm gonna just get straight into the topic. Very briefly, I just want to say that, kind of the content that's been on this channel has been a lot of extremely, like, it's been a lot of content that relates to my mental health issues and just kind of how I've been navigating this summer with certain relationships and other things that are happening in my life. And I will still keep those videos as like there, but I'm gonna make them unlisted. So yeah. But essentially what I want to do is like, because these videos are essentially just video journals of me basically speaking out loud, just speaking my thoughts, because my hand hurts a lot when I'm writing, and that might have something to do with me playing so many video games, or the way that I write is like I grip this shit. Like, look at my hands. Like, there's just ink on them because I grip the shit out of the pen. And it's a fountain pen. You're not supposed to be doing that. You just be, you know what I'm saying? Like, but I'd be going like, oh, and it'd be hurting me. So, yeah, but there's also some other things that the way that I articulate them in speech, I feel like thinking out loud is something that will help me a lot in just getting thoughts out. And these videos are basically just for me to go back and to see them and to talk about different things. And shukriya. And uh, yeah, so today I watched a video, and let me actually pull up who the creator of this video is in case I ever get famous. So the person's name is Emergency. IMURGENCY. And I can link them in the um, description below. But basically, I've watched one of their videos before of about like streamer university, and I just watched the video that says Gen Z needs sex education, and it's a 35-minute long video. And I'm not a, I say my one of my favorite things to say to people is I don't have the internet. And of course I have the internet. I have YouTube, I have Reddit, but I don't have um, social media such as Instagram or TikTok downloaded on my phone. I don't even have a TikTok account. I have an Instagram account, but I don't have it downloaded on my phone. And the only reason I even got Instagram back is because of other things that I would need to use social media for. Otherwise, I wouldn't really need it. But basically, I've got I don't use the internet in the same way that I once used to, and I don't like keep up with a lot of the bullshit that happens, like streamers or any of that stuff, or like online drama. And I kind of just like, because it's just annoying. It takes toll on my mental, and there's no point. Like the only reason I use social media, I would use social media is to keep up with friends, but social media has just gotten to the point where I become like in my screen, and it's really not something I want to keep doing. Um, so push that away, push that to the side, push that to the side. Maybe one day I'll edit these videos, but basically, I watched this video and it kind of got me. In the part, the video was talking about a voice memo that of a guy basically had gone on a date with this person. It was a heterosexual relationship. So this guy went on a date with this woman, and basically they had talked a little bit about like if they wanted to have sexual intercourse or not. And the guy sent her a voice memo and basically was like, hey, I want to have sex on this next date. If we go out, we can drink wine or something. And if you don't want to have sex, then, we're done seeing each other, kind of type of thing. It's like, we either have sex or we don't, kind of giving like an ultimatum. And if we don't, it's over. It's either it's sex or no, or we're done. And I feel like not only is that like, and it was just like social commentary about how the discourse was about if this is consent, how people feel about this, and I agree wholeheartedly. And the argument presented was like this is not consent, and it's like factual that this is not consent. This is like more of kind of like coercive behavior, giving an ultimatum where it's like either we have sex or we don't, and if we don't, we're done. Um, so of course it wasn't as like straight, clear cut, aggressive as I'm speaking because well, I like to get to the point, and that's basically what's going on. So yeah, and it kind of got me thinking about like how deep rooted different patriarchal patterns are within people, even in those who aren't men. Like in people who aren't men, they will still have those, like especially like the video spoke about like how in heterosexual relationships there will be a power imbalance between the man and the woman. And it'll kind of just be like, the man is the person with the power, the woman has a little bit less power and say, and it's kind of like a man doing the bare minimum of communicating or asking, "Hey, can I kiss you?" or something is like a huge deal for women. And it shouldn't be that way. Like obviously, someone doing that is good, but um we shouldn't be holding men to these low of standards. We should always expect more of them. And if they do something good, it's like, all right, we'll keep going type of thing. Um and there's a lot of different discussions you can get into that. And even the way that I phrase whatever I just said may not have been in the most best way. Let's say that, okay? Because speaking is hard. Um, but yeah, the video was some great social commentary, and it also spoke on just like human communication in general, and how I'm gonna give an example of myself. So basically, over the like summer, I had a lot of thoughts about like some friendships I had. I spoke about this. I had some friends that I wasn't really too close with. I didn't really appreciate the friendship we had. I felt like that the time that I was in the relationship, even if they cared about me, they didn't treat me well and different things. So it's kind of like me, I was just thinking out loud as to what do I do. Then I talked to my therapist and some friends, and basically through those discussions, I got to the point where I was comfortable enough to telling them, "Hey, this is how I feel. This is how things are going to be going forward. I just want to let you guys know, and I don't hate you guys. This is just how the situation is." And they received it warmly, at least when I talked to them. And I haven't spoken to them since, but I did do that, and it's kind of like nothing in our life like my I don't know who if this is like a real quote people made up or something, but I'm gonna give myself credit for it because this is what I wrote in my journal. I wrote down the only perfection in life are the imperfections that come with it, because life is full of imperfections. And I feel like in many situations you don't have a right and wrong answer. Now in some there are, like when it comes to like how consent is this consent or is it not consent? You kind of have to go like that. And um, I feel like it's more clear cut than people give it to be. People might be like, "Oh, there's a blurred line between what is and isn't." Well, I'm not gonna get too deep into that conversation because this is also something I want to educate myself on more with doing with looking into sex education. Because during my time in high school, I cheated my way through health, and on top of that, the health program that we had, I don't know how good it was. So it's something that I'm misinformed on, and definitely want to educate myself more on this in case I have partners in the future, or just if different things, just to know, right? And so, where was I going? What the fuck was I talking about? I have no clue. I can't even edit this shit out. What was I talking about? Friends. Yeah. So that human communication aspect is something that we're losing because there's no right or wrong answer in some of the things we do. Like if I there's no right or wrong with me going up to my friends and telling them and how which way to tell them, because I can tell them in a way which would make me feel more like I didn't really get to tell them what how I felt, and kind of to just ease the burden on them, and so they still feel good about whatever's happening. Or I can do what's best for me, be honest with them, give it out, lay it out simply to them, and they basically may not feel as good because they're losing a friend or something like that. Like, these things are complicated. These things are complex, and you don't move through them just like with a through line. Like, there's no like straight line. You have to curve, go through different things. Sometimes the curve may end up going back, and you know, the winding flow of how things go is not linear. So what may be good for someone else may be more negative for another person. But and I'm not saying this in like broader social aspects. I'm speaking specifically on the situation of me talking to my friends. Um, and it's basically like in these type of situations you can't really have like one right or wrong answer, but communication is really important because you can have a more informed decision on based on to do what's best for you and what will be best for the other person. Because I went to them and maybe they're losing a friend in me, but at the same time the way I presented it to them was like, I don't hate you guys. I try to make sure that they still feel comfortable, um, without losing whatever I went into that for. Um, and I got to that through talking to people. And that video also had a little bit of a conversation about this woman who lived in New York City, and she made like a 30-part series on TikTok about her roommate leaving and all this type of stuff. And there's all this drama and stuff happening. Like, all you have to do is just go out your door, go look at your roommate, and say, hey, can we have a conversation about you leaving? Instead of going out and then starting to make a huge video on it for attention, for all these different type of things. Like, if you want to get advice with the situation that's happening with you, you don't go out onto the internet and start asking people and start putting your roommate on blast and only giving your point of view. You got to have conversations with the people that you're having difficulties with. You got to have conversations with people around you who can help you navigate the situation, because a stranger doesn't know who you are. A stranger can't hold you accountable if you just tell them whatever you want to tell them. You know? It's the same way that AI works, and how AI kind of destroys communication for people. Because if you go to an AI and ask it for advice, or you go to an AI and you talk to it about something, it will cater towards you. It's programmed to cater towards the user, so the user keeps coming back, right? And speaking of large language models specifically, like Claude models, Chat GPT models, things like that. And when you speak to these AIs and you only give them your point of view, it will basically become a pattern of reinforcement where you won't be able to get any account. You won't be able to take any accountability. There will not be any objectivity of the situation that is happening, right? It will be just bias of you speaking to a reflection of yourself telling you, oh yeah, like if I went to an AI and started discussing the issues I had with my friends, um, which I did go and ask. Okay, I will be honest, I did use an AI to just like get some of these thoughts out. But the AI was saying things like, oh, you could do this, you could do that. But if I took what the AI said and if I went to my friends with that, the situation that would have turned out would have been in a completely different place. Because it could have been like, oh, your friends did this to you, your friends did that to you, but the AI doesn't really know me for who I am. They can't interact with me in real life. They don't know what the things I've been through. They don't know how I am as a person. In the same way that like a friend would. So there's like a difference in how fucking communication shit. I lost my train of thought. But yeah, it was. I guess the video I'm talking about, communication between people, and like I see all the time people talk about how humans are social creatures. We are, social animals. We require connection. We require to have conversations with people. And going through relationships is never easy because people will have differences. People will always be different. You will never be able to find a mirror of yourself. And if you do, shit, I'm mad lucky. Or it could be a bad thing. See, you don't know. You just don't know. But yeah, I kind of wanted to talk about that and just like um also just about like the different patriarchal patterns on how people will basically suppress themselves in the broader society that we have, which is like dominated by a hierarchy where males are over all others, um, and it's really sad to see. And fighting back against it is extremely important, and it's important for people who identify as men to or who are men to kind of break that from their mind, and people who maybe were once referred to as men, like such as myself. I am agender, um, but I was for my entire life associated with masculinity because I was born with a penis, and I was called a man, and referred to with masculine pronouns and masculine other things, terms, and that's kind of where I fit in. And so naturally I would have obtained different things with related to, like, the patriarchy, where I would have benefited, and I didn't really see the other side of it. And leaving that, and now myself being queer, there's a lot of things that I'm learning about, or that I'm unlearning, that I once were old patterns of mine. And again, it's about talking to people about this. It's about learning. It's about actually going out and exploring and reading and having these different type of conversations and being held accountable and talking to people that care about you. And that's basically how you can learn and grow, and that's what I'm trying to do. And so even watching this video, I learned a lot about you know how different things go. And um just like how I also need to better educate myself, and also need to tell myself the importance of, like, human connection and human communication and all that. And yeah, it was really eye opening, and I just wanted to have a little conversation about that with myself. And oh shit, just burped. If you guys didn't hear, excuse me. Anyway, I'm gonna end this now. I'm gonna do some modules for my university, and then I'm gonna play some Valorant. And I got therapy later. All right, goodbye.